What's going on, guys? My name is MOD Kid, and welcome back to another daily Resident Evil video. As we start to reach the end of 2024, I wanted to take it upon myself to do another top 10 Resident Evil video. With that being said, I decided to look back at some of my previous videos that I've done, and I've come to discover that I have not covered this Resident Evil top 10 list. So sit back and join me while I go through and break down what I think, in my opinion, is the top 10 best weapons in Resident Evil. This list is going to consist of all types of weapons possible in the RE franchise, including bonus weapons and even sub-weapons. I'm only going to be including the weapons that the actual playable characters can use, so this will only consist of weapons that we as players have a chance to actually use. Lastly, keep in mind that this list was completely compiled together by yours truly, so feel free to go down in the comments below and let me know how I did on my top 10 list. But anyways, I think I've done enough explaining in the intro of this video, so why don't we go on ahead and jump into number 10, shall we? Starting us off at number 10 is one of the most rare and unique items of the Resident Evil franchise. I'm sure most of you are aware that the golden chicken egg can be used for more than just throwing it at your enemies, as this can also heal you to the full amount of health. The golden chicken egg isn't very easy to find, as it's the most rare egg out of all of the eggs in the game, but when you're able to actually successfully throw it at an enemy, it is guaranteed to get the job done. In fact, anytime you throw a golden chicken egg at an enemy, it will kill them in one hit, which is the only egg that can actually do that besides the rotten egg, which is found in Resident Evil 5. I thought it was only best to put the golden chicken egg at number 10 on this top 10 list, as it has the ability to instant kill your enemies and also be used as a consumable. All of that being considered makes the golden chicken egg pretty underrated in my opinion. Also, when playing RE5, you can actually carry the golden chicken eggs in stacks of 5, which is absolutely huge for when you're playing mercenaries.
No! Something greater than he ever was!
Next up at number 9 on this list is the Red 9, which is only available in Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 4 Remake. One thing I think we can all agree with right here is that the Red 9 is without a doubt the best handgun in Resident Evil 4, but I went ahead and put this at number 9 on the list because I think the Red 9 is actually the best handgun in all of the Resident Evil games for that matter. When playing RE4, the Red 9 is actually the last handgun that gets awarded to you by the merchant, so it just goes to show that the Red 9 is without a doubt the best handgun in the entire game. The only thing that I can see is questionable about which handgun is the best when it comes to RE4 is either the Red 9 or the Blacktail. And when I'm speaking of the Blacktail, I only mention that because it has a higher chance of actually staggering the enemies than the Red 9 does. But I still think the Red 9 is better just because it has more damage. Also, not to mention, if you decide to buy the stock for the Red 9, I think it only further makes this the best handgun in the game, as it provides a better steady aim. Now, my memory with the RE4 Remake isn't that fresh because I only played it the one time when it was new, but if I recall, you get given the Red 9 doing the boat section, and I don't remember if it's the last handgun that's given to you or not, but I do recall that I think in the remake it was still the best handgun.
Stay down, alright?
So next up, making its way into number 8 on this list is the Chicago Typewriter, which was also first introduced in Resident Evil 4, but later introduced in Revelations 2 and possibly other Resident Evil games. Now, when it comes to RE Revelations 2, I've used the Chicago Typewriter on that game, but it doesn't really hold up to the Chicago Typewriter in RE4. So when it comes to the Chicago Typewriter and putting it at number 8 on this list for how good it is, I mainly look back on RE4 and RE4 Remake for just how overpowered that gun was. In my opinion, it's the best machine gun / assault rifle in the franchise. Number 7 on this list is the grenade launcher or the grenade launchers. This number 7 spot is pretty much going to consist of all the grenade launchers in the Resident Evil franchise, as they're all about the same and they all reappear in about every single game that I can think of. You can't really go wrong with the grenade launcher in any of the RE games, as they tend to give them to you towards the later half of the campaign, which will then help you go on to take on some of the later boss fights that you'll end up running into. So the grenade launcher is going to go at number 7 on this list for being a really reliable explosive weapon and being really powerful considering what kind of rounds you have. Coming in at number 6 on this list is the only Magnum that I included in this top 10 list, and is definitely one of the most unique and intense Magnums in the entire franchise. The only time I've actually gotten my hands on the P.R.L is in the raid mode, and it can be a really fun and crazy weapon to use, especially if you have some really good weapon parts on the P.R.L. Regardless, the Typewriter comes with a lot of damage and a lot of kickback, but like I said, that can be fixed with weapon parts. Coming in at number 5 on this list is the first special weapon, which is the L.T.D in Resident Evil 5. The actual name for this is the Shango Satellite Laser, which really confuses me on how it got the name L.T.D. But regardless of however the heck this gun got its name, it is a very powerful weapon that is locked up and can only be accessed with a keycard. It's also got one of the longest charge up times out of any weapon I've ever seen in a Resident Evil game, but it totally makes up for it with its damage. It's safe to say that this is one of the most powerful things that as a player we've ever gotten our hands on in the franchise, but it's just very unfortunate that we don't get to use it anywhere past this boss fight. The L.T.D is going to make number 5 on this list, and in my opinion it is probably the best weapon in RE5. Coming in at number 4 now is the Minigun, or the Gatling gun, just because that's what they call it in Resident Evil 5. I don't think that the Minigun was really introduced that much in the Resident Evil franchise, which is a shame because pretty much any game that has a minigun, it is always kind of looked at as one of the best weapons in the entire game. There's something about the miniguns that you just can't go wrong with. Something about having all that ammo and that super fast firing rate, along with the insane amount of damage that the minigun can actually do. The only RE game that actually has the minigun that I haven't yet gotten my hands on is the OG Resident Evil 2. And just looking at the gameplay alone, it looks like it would be a really fun weapon to use. I'm pretty sure most people will agree with me when I put the minigun at number 4 on this list, because this weapon can just completely shred right through all of your opponents like it's nothing.
What are we gonna do?
Turn the key clockwise simultaneously on 3.
Coming in at number 3 is the linear launcher from Resident Evil Code Veronica X. In my opinion, the linear launcher is the most powerful weapon in all of Code Veronica, so I thought there would be no better place than to put this in the top 3 for the best weapons. The only downfall is that the linear launcher is really hard to aim with because of the fact that this game came out around PS2 times, but if you are able to hit any enemy with this linear launcher even once, it'll kill it no matter what. And same goes for Alexia in her final form. If you can hit her even once with the linear launcher, she will die instantly, which just goes to show just how powerful this linear launcher truly is. Also, it's a lot of fun in battle mode.
Prepare for your death, Leon.
Making its way into number 2 on this list is the P.R.L 412, which stands for the Plaga Removal Laser 412. It is without a doubt that the P.R.L 412 is the best weapon available in the original Resident Evil 4. It's just a shame that they didn't include it in the remake. Regardless, the P.R.L is a whole lot of fun to use, and it's great to just blast right through all your enemies while trying to get through the game as fast as possible. The gun is actually pretty underrated as it comes with 2 kinds of ways to attack your opponents. One is when you tap the shoot button and it'll actually just stun the enemies, but the other one is when you hold it down for a charge and it'll take out any enemy that is on your screen in front of you. I was tempted to put this at number 1 on the list, but this is making its way into number 2. And with that being said, why don't we move on to number 1?
Attention, unauthorized removal of a level 4 virus detected.
At number 1 for the best weapons in Resident Evil is going to be the anti-tank rocket launcher from Resident Evil 2. The anti-tank rocket launcher actually only appears in RE2 Original and Remake, whereas in the original it doesn't have the name anti-tank rocket launcher, even though it looks the exact same. When I think of the anti-tank rocket launcher, I specifically think of RE2 Remake because I had so much fun unlocking this weapon and being able to go through the campaign with it on infinite ammo and just blast through every single zombie and boss fight in the game. The anti-tank launcher holds 4 shots in it, and the only downside to it is that the reload time is pretty long, but besides that, it is really fun to just go all out on your opponents. When thinking about the best weapons in RE games, I specifically thought that the rocket launchers would have to make its way into the number 1 spot in some shape or form, and I think that the anti-tank rocket launcher is the best rocket launcher that you can get in the game. So therefore, I went ahead and put this rocket launcher in the number 1 spot. But that's going to go ahead and wrap up my video of the top 10 best weapons in Resident Evil games. I hope you guys all enjoyed this top 10 list. If so, please go down in the comments and let me know how I did, and please go ahead and share your opinions on what you think the best weapons are. Lastly, I am now a part of the YouTube Partner Program, so I would like to leave a special shout out to my one and only Pro member, Ico Pro Sam. That does it for today's video, but I post every single day on this channel, so please make sure to consider hitting subscribe and hitting the bell if you don't want to miss a single daily upload. I also post early access to videos like this one, so if you guys want to consider becoming a member, please go ahead and click the link in the description below. I'll see you guys in the next video tomorrow. Peace.